negotiations update report that have been going out. But we do know that the employer still has some pretty awful things on the table. And that is healthcare, right? I'm not even gonna, yeah, it's healthcare. It's also one of their proposals this round was to basically make it so that we need to negotiate our step increases every round of negotiations. And so that is a particularly egregious one. That has been a proposal, or that has been a situation where it's just a given that there are steps, but they want to make it so that every round we negotiate it separate to our across the board. And so that is particularly egregious. And that is something that is also, strategy on their part, to put some egregious things on the table to whoosh through what they really want, which might be, the healthcare concessions. But we don't know that yet because we have to have the team go through this. So basically anything that the team has agreed to up until this point is considered a tentative agreement. If we do reach an agreement by the end of the week, it would have to go to the board of directors to vote on as to whether or not it gets rolled out, or it will get rolled out so that there's a vote. And that vote is whether or not to accept or to reject and strike. So with that, are there questions specifically about the process of push week? Then feel free to just talk. Okay. All right. So we all understand that people are going to be tortured in that hotel and that we are witnesses to that. So that is true. But there will be lots of food and they will be well taken care of. So the vote is, we'll do a session, the whole month of July basically will be info meetings. And then the votes will go out via the voting situation. Cynthia, you have a little bit more information about how the vote is handled, correct? Or did I just totally put you on the spot?
Possibly.
It's been an email voting.
Yes, the vote itself, for MAPE, I know we might have some AFSCME folks on here, so your process is probably different from ours, but speaking on behalf of MAPE, we usually have the vote somewhere around 4-ish to 6-ish weeks after we have a tentative agreement. Because, like Kelly said, we have time to do info sessions so you all know what's in there and what you would be voting on. We use the same voting system that we do for our internal MAPE elections. And so we would send a link out, and it's an individual link for each of you that you would get to vote on. And typically, yes means that we approve the tentative agreement and we want to move forward with implementing it. No would mean we do not agree to the tentative agreement. And if we don't agree to the tentative agreement, there might either be a second vote that then says we would strike, or there would be, it depends on how it's worded. If it is an automatic no means a strike vote versus no just means no, and that we might try to negotiate further if we can. And then there might be a separate strike vote. So this week during push week, for MAPE, look for an email every evening. We're going to be giving updates of what we know. We might be able to do some videos with the negotiators, kind of walking through what's happened for the day. Any other agreements there are some items in the tentative agreement right now. If you go to the proposal page on MAPE.org, it's the middle slider, and there's a link on there that says what both parties have already agreed to. And then there's another link that shows what's outstanding and what we're still negotiating for this week. So we'll be providing updates on those. So it won't just be like wait and wait and wait till the end of the week and see what happens. You'll be getting kind of a daily play-by-play at least for what we know. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of good news to report every day, but stay tuned for those.
Thanks, Cynthia. Also, what's going to happen every day is MAPE and AFSCME are going to coordinate at the end of every bargaining session. And so they're going to be talking. And, you know, this goes hand in hand. We've been down this path before where, you know, we're trying to coordinate. One person isn't going ahead. And so that is something that is coordinated now on a higher level than it has been before. I'd like to say that. You also see that we have participation. We're doing this together here at this rally and making sure that our voices are heard, that MMB sees us. There are a couple of other ways that people can get involved at this point, just because we're not all, you know, at the hotel. There is on the MAPE website, it's the Get Active page. There is multiple, no, I just lost it. So there are many different things that are on here. One of the things is an email that we are asking people. It should have been sent out by MAPE Action, and it's 4 ways to get ready for Push Week. We're asking that people send 2 emails this week. One is to MMB leadership, and one is to the governor. There are templates, but we are asking people to use your full range of expression and do not just send the template. The one thing that I would say about that is in the previous round of negotiations, when people just sent the template, Jennifer, who's the MMB rep, made a big point of telling us that everyone just sent the template and, you know, basically saying that that's not powerful. So feel free to use the template as an idea, but then also use your full range of expression in whatever manner you see fit to express your extreme, you know, your extreme emotions, however you want to call it, about their proposals and what they're asking us to do. In most of these proposals are take a pay cut and to basically beg for things that we have just taken as a given, which are step increases. So that's one of the things that you can do. We're asking that people do that 2 times this week, or well, 1 time this week, or as many times as you want, but both to MMB leadership and the governor. Next week, we want, well, basically we want emails again all week supporting our team. So it's like, you know, we don't like what you're doing. We want you to listen to our team, but we also want you to know why this is important to us. We will have daily updates. There is on the MAPE website, the Get Involved. That talks about the, for some reason, my computer is freezing. Cynthia, are you able? Okay, there we go. So the Get Involved page under negotiations talks about the rally today. There's also going to be there at the same time right now, there's a rally in Duluth there's a rally in Mankato later this afternoon, if people are close to that. There is also strike trainings that have been going on. Have people been able to attend those? All right. So those are still happening. Those are important to just basically understand what a strike entails and what it means and what happens with that. So those trainings are very valuable and it's good to go to those. We're also having we're calling this Solidarity Week basically, and so for this week we're asking that you wear your MAPE swag. On tomorrow, you can put up your virtual background or bring a MAPE sign to your office. Wednesday, it's wear blue. And Thursday, update your team's virtual background. And we have the MAPE icon there that you can grab. If by Friday we don't have a tentative agreement, we're asking people to set their team status over lunch to waiting for a fair contract. So all that information is on the MAPE website, where you can see just how you can make sure that you're participating in a way that supports our negotiators. All right. So are there some questions in the chat that I have missed?
Somebody did share, it said this happened Friday. Today, Ask Me Council 5 has officially filed 14 unfair labor practice charges against the state for regressive bargaining. I don't know if you can speak to that at all, Kelly.
Nope.
Okay.
Hey, this is Barb Jackson. My sister shared it with me. She's in AFSCME at DNR. That's all I know, but I thought people should be aware.
That they do you know what the ULPs are? Oh, Michael's saying that it might be related to supplemental bargaining. So the agreement in the back of the contract, or are you talking about the main table?
The reason why I think it was supplementals is because they were talking about agreements formed with individual executive branch agencies that MMB took away. And that sounds straight up like supplementals, like there's something they would do for supplementals too.
Right. I think so. Does anyone else, were there other questions that I missed?
I'm not seeing questions, but I'm seeing some chatter about a potential nurse strike.
Okay.
And the nurses also filed a ULP against their management.
Okay.
That was for me, Kelly, more just an awareness of like, we are not the only group dealing with bad management. Yeah. Like the nurses are experiencing this too. Like just for more of a solidarity awareness that the nurses are also in this position that we are kind of finding ourselves in as well.
Great, thank you. All right. Great, thanks, David, in the chat.
One question said, can I get in trouble for changing my out of office to waiting for a fair contract? I took vacation this week, so I think it would be a default status while they're on vacation.
I think the action was asking that it be a coordinated situation. So we want to make sure that that when it's happening, that it is a coordinated thing. So to do it on the day that we're being asked is the best way to ensure that no one is being dinged individually by this stuff. So I just want to look at that website again. So that is specifically for Friday, June 27th, that we're being asked to do that. And what that's for most likely the way most push weeks have been that I've been stuck in, I mean, where I've participated, has been, we really are maybe looking for something by Thursday, right? Because we have the board meeting on Friday. Once it starts to go pretty quickly. And then all of a sudden there's the momentum for a tentative agreement. Okay, just looking at Jamie's, I'm wondering, I just want to, what it says is Friday, set your team status over lunch. So a very limited time, a limited day to waiting for a fair contract. And that's to put pressure. So the other piece of that was on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, put up your MAPE virtual background or bring a MAPE sign to your office. So that's team status, correct? Well, wait. Yep, team status over lunch. Sorry. Thank you, Cynthia, for putting that up. I don't have to disappear and come back. All right.
Yes.
So it looks like we're getting a little closer to 8:30. 8:30 again is when people were going to come and speak. I believe the team is probably, if they're not outside, I haven't seen them recently. They could be inside now doing their work. And there is Alexis. All right. So seeing some people. Woo!
And part of the reason the audio comes in and out is because Zoom has this really great feature where if somebody is yelling, it kind of mutes it so everyone's ears don't get blasted. So that's one of the reasons why it sounds a little bit muffled at times. But the good news is, that's how loud they're being out there. So
if you can't hear them, that means they're really loud. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right.
And just a quick shout out to everyone on here. We have over 300 people joining us today. We don't have a number on the ground, but we were anticipating about the same on the ground. So that's a huge number for strength and unity here. So thank you everybody for jumping on with us this morning. I know not everyone can always run to Minneapolis for all these, so we wanted to make sure we could reach everybody across the state, but we really appreciate you jumping on.
Thanks, Cynthia. Does it appear to you like we have some questions about some specifics? Do you think we have time to get into that, or are people looking like they're gathering and speaking?
It looks like they're going to start speaking, so let's hold off on those till after the speeches.
All right, and just so that everyone knows, feel free to use your reaction buttons to support in this virtual world that we're in.
This is also being live streamed right now to the MAPE Facebook page. You might be able to, if you want to look back at it, you might be able to hear the chants a little bit better because it shouldn't have the muffled.
Executive Director of Aspen Council 5. Thanks, all. A huge shout out for everybody that showed up this morning. This is what solidarity looks like. Everybody, I think, knows that this is one of the toughest rounds of negotiations we have gone through in decades. from the master team tables to supplemental teams. We have our Unit 8 corrections contract going on at the same time. But this is a brutal round of negotiations. Huge takebacks, huge shifts in insurance costs, and it's just not acceptable. This is not what we work every day to deserve. We have gone to work every day, done the work, worked through the pandemic. We have earned respect in the workplace. And what we are seeing at the table is not respect. It's disgusting. And it can't continue. But it's events like this, it's the power in the people, and these master teams are going to need everyone's support throughout Bushmead. This is not going to be easy, but we can do it. And we'll do it together, we'll do it side by side, and we will get to the finish line and get a respectable contract.
Next from me, we're going to have Amanda Henderson Yeager.
Thank you for being out here. Thank you to me. Thank you for asking for having me out here this morning. My name is Amanda Henderson Yeager. Not only am I a Maplewood employee, I'm a proud state representative for Maplewood and Woodbury. It's no secret who makes this state work. It's you. You were the ones who carried us through COVID. You were the ones who teleworked at the turn, like on the top of a dime, and you kept the state working and you kept us healthy. And this whole executive order RTO is unfair. Remember to your Melissa working. Her focus was always on passing the state budget, always protecting paid parental leave and paid family medical leave, and advocating for our state workers. So as you go into push week and negotiations, I wish you strength, I wish you courage, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for all you do for Minnesota.
Thanks, Amanda. Next from AFSCME Master Team, we're going to have Jess Shivin.
Being out here this morning, this is such an amazing turnout and so much nicer to have it on as I'm Beth Jennick. I'm part of Local 4001. I work at Anoka Ramsey Community College in the Visual Arts Department. I'm also on the Master Negotiations team, and I'm on the Contract Action team, and I've served on my local D board for the last 4 years as well. I've been a state AFSCME employee for 10.5 years. I've been a campus steward for 8. This is my first time serving on the Master Negotiations team. As you already know, this contract round has not been easy. While we have made some great progress already, we are still facing a lot of challenges. The proposals the state is putting forward are awful. They're demoralizing. They're not what we deserve. Not only our members, but all state union workers across Minnesota. They have the potential to cause many to have to choose between paying the co-pays and deductibles to get the medical care they need or buying groceries. We don't deserve that. My job with the state of Minnesota is the first union job I've had. My parents did not have the opportunity to work for a union when I was growing up. For most of my life, we paid crazy amounts for private health insurance to cover the medical care that I needed. I lived with and managed multiple chronic health conditions. Thanks to my job at the state of Minnesota and the Union One benefits that we have, I have finally been able to have stable, affordable health insurance. variability and deficiency. I am immunocompromised. The medication that I am on to manage that, to bring my immune system closer to that of someone healthy, costs $30,000 per month. Thanks to my state insurance, I pay about $70 a month. State has put forward that cost I pay could at least quadruple, if not more. I would not be able to work, to live, to do all the things that I love to do. I wouldn't be standing here before you today. Over the next 2 years, with these insurance proposals, between increases to premiums, co-pays, and out-of-pocket maximums, and now costs for specialty pharmacy medications that are being proposed, most of my wages will end up going to cover my health care and my spouse's health care coverages. Many others have similar stories. We've heard some of them. We've been sharing them on social media. It is not just me. What is being proposed is an injustice to us all, and we can't let this happen. The master team will be fighting back on all of this. We do not accept these proposals. We know how devastating they will be, and we need all of you to be loud and be angry and to show up. This is not a fight for just a small team to negotiate and fight. This is a fight for us all, and we need to stand united in solidarity.
Thank you, Jess. Next from MAPE, we're gonna have Sean McIntyre.
Morning, everybody. I'm Sean McIntyre. I work for the Department of Corrections. Where are you guys at? I know you're out there. Yeah, good. Welcome. I'm also on the MAPE master team for negotiations this year. And I think the major thing I want to do, first of all, is big shout out to my whole team. So thank you, my team on MAPE. Big shout out to the anthem. Who's the anthem people at? We're the Teamsters. It's awesome. And the Teamsters here. Yeah. Who else am I missing? Where's IFO? All right. Thank you for all the unions for being here, nurses, whoever else is here. If I missed anyone, thank you guys. I haven't seen this kind of collaboration ever for us, so this is great. Thank you for showing up. The main thing I want to talk about is the theme this round with MMB has been takebacks. They just want to take everything back that we have fought so hard for over the years. Who works for PPL, paid parental leave? Did anyone work on that? Okay, so last time we met with them on the 4th, they clarified their plan for paid parental family leave to replace and gut paid parental leave for us. They want us to take a portion of the pay instead of what we worked for to earn. We gonna let them do it? Neither are we. So I want to commit to you guys, your master teams here with Ashley and MAPE. We're gonna fight hard and we're gonna fight all week.
Thanks, Sean. Next from AFSCME, we're gonna have Jessica Langhorst.
I'll try and keep it short. It looks like the rain's about to hit. I am a member from Local 1092. I've also served on the master team a couple years ago. And for the last 4 contracts, I've been on our local supplemental team. And last week, middle management budget decided to come out and be like, you know, those subs that you all agreed to and said TAs to, no, they stepped out of their bounds. We can't do that. So they are saying like 14 supplementals now. Like those were fairly negotiated. The people making decisions were at the table. It's not our fault if your people stepped out of line and did something they weren't supposed to do. We fairly negotiated those things and we're fighting back.
Thanks, Jess. Next from MAPE, we're gonna have Holly Anderson.
Hello, I'm Holly Anderson from 1002. And I'm the LCAT for our county. So in the richest country in the world, there is enough for all of us. In the richest country in the world, a balanced budget doesn't need to happen on the backs of public servants, on the backs of our healthcare. Unfortunately, those in power rarely seem to agree with this. And this is why we show up. To remind them that they aren't the only ones with power. We also have power when we show up together, when we show up united. This is how we win their contract. Making it clear that every single person at the bargaining table, that MAPE is here, and AFSCME is here, and IFO is here, and Teamsters and MMA, and whoever else we missed. We are paying attention, we care, and we have power too. There is power in us. So thank you for being here alongside me, alongside our negotiators, and most importantly, alongside each other. So this is what solidarity looks like.
So just a couple quick announcements. We are going to be having phone banks and site visits kick off at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, site visits for AFSCME folks are going to kick off out of the lobby, and phone banks are going to go out of room 201. That's our contract action team operations center. So we're going to stay out here until we absolutely get drenched or downpoured or 10 o'clock. So let's get this party started, and thanks for your solidarity. Let's go to the train. And if you're on the master team for AFSCME, please head on in.
All right, well, that was some speakers from both unions, our co-chair for our negotiating committee. Seems like people are committed and wanting to rile people up, and now we're going to have some chants. So online, I noticed that there are quite a few questions. Are we able to mute? Or do people want to watch them do this for a little bit?
Yeah, they're muted now. So
okay,
we'll have the stream going. You guys can still see them all doing their thing, but then we'll be able to hear better. So
yeah, do we know how many people are there in person?
I have not heard, but well, I should say I got one text that said maybe 300 and another one that said maybe 400. Hard to count, boots on the ground sometimes.
Yeah. So we're at 369 now, so I think we're doing pretty good. But are there questions? And I'm sorry if you've already put them in the chat. There are people coming in and we're admitting them as they come in. So it's hard.
Yeah, one was for the email that we're asking people to send to some of the MMP and the governor. Oh, we can he unmuted.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Can people use their state email, or should they use a personal email when sending those emails?
So, I mean, technically you're writing your boss, right? I mean, so it's MMB, our colleagues, you know, they're other workers. This is a concerted effort, so it is safe to use your state email. We're not asking them to vote for a particular person. We're asking them to, you know, hey, listen to us. And so they are people, and we are able to communicate with them on our state email. But if you are more comfortable and you don't mind them having your personal email, go ahead and do that. The point is, what we're doing by all doing it, you know, during the same week is it's concerted activity under PELRA. We're doing it because our union is in negotiations, and that is what's happening. We do have a report from the ULP is an unfair labor practice. We do have a report that we have people in Duluth from all over the region, so region 14, so that sounds good. It is also starting to rain there. And Mankato's rally is going to be tonight at 4:30. And so hopefully that will also be well attended. Cynthia, did you have other questions? I know there were some questions about strike and timing and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Real quick, one said if if they don't use video on their teams, can they set their actual profile picture to be the MAPE logo instead? So rather than like video streaming, and I have my MAPE, this side, MAPE virtual background up, rather than that, your icon where it says who you are would be the MAPE rather than like a picture of yourself. Is that something they could do?
So we're asking people to do this over lunch. So it would just be during that time. And yes, that would be fine.
Okay. Yeah, there was
because we're doing it as part of a concerted activity. So it would just be for that noon hour. It's not like every meeting that you have with, people that you normally meet with outside of the state or anything like that. Yeah. Okay. If you change the profile picture, it would take days to take effect. Oh, wow. Okay. So it's just the status, I think. I mean, what we're trying to do is just, waiting for a fair contract. And quite frankly, hopefully by Friday they're done anyway, and it won't be necessary. Hopefully there's some good traction and that people are there to negotiate, that MMB is there to negotiate. But they
I think on Tuesday we are asking people to use the a MAPE virtual background.
Yes.
Yes. So that yeah, or bring a MAPE sign to your office. So yeah, if your video's not up and your icon doesn't change immediately, if it takes a while, then yeah, I don't think that one will work. But these our MAPE backgrounds are on the bottom of the Get Involved page. I'll share that link again. But you can download the image and then there's a little caret next to your video if you're on Zoom or Teams, and then it says choose your background, and then typically that pops open, and then there's like an add your own, so that you click on that, access your own files on your computer, and then it will upload. One thing is, oftentimes on Teams, the MAPE logo looks backwards, because you're seeing the reflection, and it freaks people out for a minute, and think they did something wrong, but you did not. So everyone else can see it perfectly fine. It just looks a little funny to yourself. So just so you know that.
Well, that explains a lot to me because I have gone through that. Good to know. So we all learned something technology-wise.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions?
There was one about when we are anticipating MMB to put their wage increase proposal forward. Do we have an idea when that will come up?
Yeah, I'm thinking, and this is just me, I feel like a sportscaster right now, but I would assume today or tomorrow, because we're at a point now where it all has to be out on the table, and it can't wait, because if they're going to be, can I try to mute? Oops.
There.
I don't know if I did that. So if I were to speculate, which I am, I would say, push week is the time when, we just get right down to it. And so everything needs to be on the table. And so there is no more ceremony. There is no more, we have to wait until there's a budget, they're folding in healthcare, they're going to be talking about wages. All the other stuff that we have been talking about has been language that's either like technical, it's some of it is financial, even though they raised the freezing or the renegotiating for steps every round. That was a financial, but somehow that made it during the main part of negotiations. But then they'll come in with the wages, and the way they do it, especially in lean years, is it will be kind of an inflammatory low offer. And so, yeah, that's basically what I think. They need to be talking about it. And so it will be the sooner rather than later. And so there's one question, the status thing Cynthia put in the chat, that is for Friday. The type of email that we are sending to MMB, this is something that's happening for MAPE. It's on our website where we're asking people to do that. And the template is a suggestion, but we are asking people to please, so that they read it, personalize it, so that it sounds like it's coming from you. And that would be going to MMB. Cynthia, do you know who is it? Jennifer? She's the one leading this. Jennifer Ziegler, who is the, basically the head honcho type person at MMB that's working with the people that are negotiating our contract. Also, the governor. And so that's where those emails, that's what we're asking you to do. All right.
3 people at MMB. I'm going to put all 3 of them.
Yeah, because I tried to copy and paste that whole thing, and it says it's too many characters.
Oh, God. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and for Ask Me folks, this is something, feel free to join us on this. This is a MAPE action that we are doing. And feel free to join us on that or any other actions that AFSCME is doing. We can do any of these in solidarity with each other. But we're asking people to send to the 3 MMB folks, and essentially just tell them what you want. We're mad about healthcare. It's an outrageous proposal. Whatever is on your mind, whatever you feel, go ahead and tell them. Yep, if you sent an email last week, that is great. We're asking people to send one again this week if you've already sent. So we wanted stuff to start last week before push week and then do it again for this week. And if you feel like emailing them a couple times this week, you could do that too. So, just keep them coming.
There's no cap on the anger or what you can be doing. They're not keeping track like, oh, we got 2 from Cynthia, so that cancels each other out. I mean, as we keep going and as we know what the team is encountering while they're in push week, because quite frankly, push week is where it's supposed to be serious. And if we're still, encountering the same old, back and forth, that without any movement, then that means that MMB is not being serious. And what's remaining on the table for us is the stuff that we feel is important. There's no fluff. And so all that with the proposals and whatnot, as Cynthia was saying, that's available on the MAPE website as well. All right. Were there more questions?
I think there was one way further up, but I can't find it now. But just walking through, what if we don't get a tentative agreement this week? Then what happens?
Then we keep negotiating. Yeah. wouldn't bet money on it, but the odds of us not coming out with something from them, either, the employer saying, this is our best and final offer, this is our last final offer. In which case, then if they do that, then that's something that we have to take out for a vote, just like if we had something that we called a tentative agreement. So, it takes two to negotiate, right? And so if they're going to say, if we're going to be like, no, we want more time, and they're like, nope, this is it. This is as good as you're getting. This is just exactly, what it is. Take it out for a vote and let your members decide, and then that might mean a little bit more strategy on our part, and like, what are we going to do with that? And that's kind of goes back to what Cynthia was saying about, like, we have to have info meetings. We have to see what people are willing to do. If we vote no on that, that means we're intending to strike. And so that is something that we have to weigh at the time, depending on what's on the table at that point. The odds are, and what MMB does practically every round, is they put just enough, where it's not a complete, icky sandwich of something. It's not the best thing in the world, but then again, we are in mediation. And one of the things that is very clear is that no one walks away from mediation happy. Every group gives something up in order to mediate, to reach an agreement. And so that basically is kind of what we'd be dealing with, is like, what are we willing to talk to each other about? What are we willing to do if we get something that's on the table that is less than what we feel we deserve? Are we strong enough? Will people make a sacrifice like a strike? Is it not this year? It all depends on kind of what it is. And, having done this before and seen MMB, they will just put just enough to make that a very difficult decision for people. So are there questions? Because I keep having to let people in, and then I don't see.
There was a little bit of chatter about, looks like the difference between like a shutdown. Someone said maybe like a looming shutdown versus a strike. Do you want to just speak to the difference between like the state shutdown, which has been avoided, but versus
that's been avoided. A shutdown is the legislature not doing their job and having a budget in place by July. And so that is 100% different than a strike, which is a work action that the union votes for to withhold our labor, in basically the ultimate tool in our tool chest. And so they're very different. And it's something that our members, AFSCME members, whatnot, they vote on it. Shutdown is something that is just, hey, we didn't do our job. We don't have money to fund your agency. But like Cynthia said, that has been avoided. That is something that is no longer on the table for this round. So yeah.
Great. Another question: for the healthcare negotiations, would our plan change mid-year based on an agreement, or would our current still continue until December 31st?
Right. Anything that they're negotiating now is for after January 1st. Right. So not anything yet this year. It's for next year. So all their numbers, if you look on the stuff that's been put out on the MAPE website, all of that is talking about the next grouping of healthcare, because we've already negotiated for this year.
Then let's see. How many employees does this insurance component impact?
how many? So like all the state, wait, like who's included? So like all of MAPE, all of AFSCME, all the unions, even the commissioner plan, they, you know, when it comes down to it, the way I was always told is that MAPE and AFSCME basically are negotiating healthcare for the entire state workforce because they get some version, even though they're not in a bargaining unit themselves. You know, MMA goes to the table, whatever, but we set the standard on that. And so that's why it's so important that we're in solidarity and doing this together.
Just a comment says, truly believe that if we accept this garbage offered by MMB this round, we will have even less ability to strike. MAPE and AFSCME need to flex our muscles soon.
That's right. Flex our muscles.
Yes.
And it's more stuff like this because quite frankly, MMB has not seen this, you know, and you know, who is all in that room with them? It's all the HR reps, you know, and it's all the people that sit there and go, oh, well, we're not seeing anyone here that's upset about what's going on, you know, and that's why we do things like the visibility, the wear the colors, wear the AFSCME signs, have the, you know, have some stuff up in your cube or a button or something, because they are all sitting there behind the MMB rep saying, oh yeah, that doesn't happen in our agency. Oh, that doesn't happen in DOT. That doesn't happen, you know, and so they're there to counteract what we're trying to do. And so that's why doing stuff like this and having the speakers and showing the solidarity is important, because the best thing that they can do is divide us and pit us up against each other. And so something like this is super important.
Yeah, this wasn't really a question, but I know it does come up about when we ask people to do action, sometimes there's some discomfort that comes with it, a little nervousness, a little like, am I going to get in trouble? So it does take a lot of courage to jump on something like this or to show up in person. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Kelly, and maybe some tips on getting over the discomfort and where there's protections?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be discomfort because you're doing something that you don't normally do. And you think you stick out like a sore thumb out on the tippiest part of the branch. But the thing is, if we're doing stuff together, then that's considered concerted activity. If we are taking action together instead of you just like flying off there on your own, doing your own thing, that is protected activity. Doesn't mean it's comfortable, doesn't mean it's great, but like I've talked to many people where it's been like after they do one thing, then they're more comfortable, and then they'll grab a sign and then they'll do something like this, or they'll sign a petition so that they have the ability to join their coworkers in doing something, or they'll work with that steward, you know, to get their ADA accommodations instead of going it alone. Sometimes it's little baby steps, it's little bites of the sandwich instead of just like full-fledged, like pounding your fist, you know, I'm going to be president of the union kind of stuff. I mean, it takes time, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. But it is protected activity when we are doing it together. And so while it does feel uncomfortable, you know, it's what works. And because it works, that's why we do it. You know, everything we do is to get some reaction, to you know, shame the employer, to get them to do the right thing, to get them to hear us, to get them to listen to people that they didn't think they had to listen to. And so that's why we do it. And it's not comfortable until you've been doing it for a while. But there always has to be a first place to start, and negotiations it's your money and your health care. If there's not a better time to do it, I don't know what it would be. So that's a good, I mean, that comes up and it's good to talk about it, because I think people are like, oh, what if my supervisor sees me? If there's retaliation, it's so clear. And that's something, you know, we'd ask you to work with your steward. You know, there would be grievances, you know, because retaliation against union activity is a violation of our contract. Awesome.
Yeah, there was, I know people have kind of been jumping on throughout. So if you've been with us the whole time, sorry, some questions are coming up again, but a question again about when are wages negotiated? This came in when you were talking about negotiating healthcare. So asking if it gets negotiated at the same time or after.
Right. So we have been negotiating since April. And so we've been negotiating all the stuff you see on the MAPE website, all our proposals, all the employers' proposals. Healthcare is dealt with separately in a coalition with the other unions. And so when we get to push week, which we are here today, that gets folded in to MAPE and AFSCME negotiations. So they have what was left over from their negotiations, any agreements, anything still outstanding, like the whole horrible everything about it, that is now on the main tables for both MAPE and AFSCME. And so that, along with wages, which will most likely be introduced today, if not today, tomorrow, but I'm assuming today, because the whole goal of Push Week is to get everything on the table and talk about it. And so we're going to be seeing some movement. We know that both MAPE and AFSCME are going to coordinate after every bargaining session to just make sure, you know, we're all being told the same things, or we're all, you know, we want to zig, let's zag that way. This is what our strategies are. There's going to be communications out to everyone about what is going on in the room. And I'm sure there is many other ways that the negotiators are going to communicate to their LCAT, who are going to communicate to the CATs. So it's good to be plugged into that system, that info tree. Yes. How long was it?
Yeah, was that chatter about the 2001 strike?
That was 2 weeks. Yeah,
Yep,
2 weeks. And that
Yep.
was over healthcare as well.
And somebody said it was actually a similar bad proposal. I don't know if
and doing a little research, it was them wanting to pass the cost on to the employees.
Oh.
And so that already happened. We do pay part of it. Are we eligible for unemployment? No, you are not eligible for unemployment during a strike. You are taking a work action that you have decided to take. And so it is not the employer acting, even though one could argue that they are the reason you're on strike, but no, you cannot. Awesome.
Yeah, somebody said when you crunch the numbers, a week of no pay, but this does say with unemployment, so that would be different. Looks a lot better than footing 4,500 plus in healthcare and RTO costs annually. A strike would absolutely be worth it. I think one thing to point out, you know, sadly, once costs go up, they're probably not going to come down. So it is kind of a cumulative impact of what a jump would look like now and what it would build upon in future years.
Right.
Some locals offer a hardship fund opportunity, but you have to be a dues paying member to qualify if on strike and need help. So I think locals, there is a MAPE strike fund as well. So what would the timing, I know this is a big question. People get worried, like, you know, if people wanted to vote for a strike, I think people get worried that it's going to be like immediately, but there is a little bit of a time window. Do you want to kind of speak through what when people would vote for a strike, under what circumstance, and about a timing of what that would look like?
So we have our own MAPE bylaws, and they're also obviously, like everything else I've said, on the website. But we are under the bylaws, we have to go out and have a meeting to discuss whatever is in the tentative agreement at every local meeting. So we have to do info sessions, we have to do listening sessions, we have to explain what the proposals mean, we have to explain everything. And based on that, that's when we start the vote. The following month, there is a vote, and there is per bylaws, a specific amount of time that the vote needs to be open. And so like in the past, we would also send out like voter booklets where you would see the changes in the actual contract. It was in a little smaller version, so you could see how the impact would be directly in the contract with the new language. And so all that needs to happen. So that's why, if anything, there's also 10 days we have to put in to the BMS with our intent to strike, if that is what we were going to be doing. But that is what that means then is that after the vote, we tallied all the ballots and the members voted no intent to strike, basically. So what's going to be on the ballot is, yes, I vote for this tentative agreement. I want it. I love it. It's amazing. Or no, reject and strike. And it's not three choices. It's not no, go back to the table and try again. It is literally, I don't like this and I'm willing to go on strike. And so that, once we get the no vote, then we respond to the BMS. We would have 10 days. They call it a cooling off period. And then we're on strike. And so in looking at that, I've heard talk of it being closer to September. So, much like the strike that MAPE had and AFSCME, obviously, in 2001.
And typically, we try to do it at the beginning of the month.
Right, because we have a concern with the healthcare. But if you are in pay status at least one day at the beginning of the month, you would be covered for healthcare. But then again, we got the what ifs now. What if you get a layoff letter during the strike? They will probably not be doing that, but that would be part of the notice period. But we don't know of any that would be coming in September. If that's something that is an issue, hopefully you'd be talking with your meet and confer about that at this point.
There was
we have a hand. Sorry, Patty.
I have a question because I work for the health department, and who knows when we could be getting new layoff letters, especially in my area. So I just asked a question, and it might happen to other areas too, because federal cuts. Do we know what happens if you're on strike and a layoff letter comes, and how the layoff or bumping or all that works together? I think it's something that, not that I don't want to strike, but I think it's something that needs to be thought about, or I don't know if there is anything.
I mean, we would totally think about that. We'd totally be working with your meet and confer group and talking to management about that. If you figure a strike is 2 weeks and the notice period for layoff is at the 21 days, it would be part of, that notice period. It does not mean and would not mean that any of your rights under the question or under the contract would be at risk. You're not an employee. They're not locking you out. They're not like, oh, you went on strike, so we don't have to offer you anything. That is not how it goes. Well,
someone just asked in the comments, it's our follow-up. Someone just asked a comment in the follow-up. If we're on strike, we don't have access to our email. How do we know if we got laid off? Which is a very good question.
Well, I get it, but they also have access to your personnel email. They can also mail it to your home.
And I'm saying that's true, but that's the kind of thing that I think before the strike that people that maybe the union or somebody needs to work with, MMB or whatever, just that, so that's sort of thought about, because I know it, and I think other departments too, but I know at MDH, we just every month it's keep waiting, like what are going to be new cuts. So it's just that kind of thing. And I'm probably in a better position than some because I've been here a long time, but I just need something that the union needs to think about.
Right. And
Great,
it's something
you.
that your meet and confer team should also be talking to management about and telling them. And layoffs aren't a surprise. And if you look at Article 17, we have language that talks about labor and management cooperation. And especially with health being, rescinding the letters that have currently gone out and the rumor of more, that is obviously something that is on everyone's radar. But the question was, if you don't have your state email, how would they send you the letter? And obviously, and most likely, unless they had your personal email, they would mail it to your house. And at the point that the letter is going out and you happen to be on strike, that would be something where we would be working with them directly. And you would not lose any layoff rights. And Michael, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was also just going to add to that, like, it's a reality, right? Federal funding cuts are uncertain. I think it's also just worth mentioning too that MMB will never in any circumstances ever make striking easier for us. And so it's kind of a tough one where it's like, yeah, I think the meet and confer on the agency level is the best bet. I feel like if they did try to do something like that during a strike, we would fight it, right? And we had similar victories when we were fighting some of the BS when the first round of layoffs came around. And so I think, and that's partially why they wanted to change and gut our layoff language so much. And so, yeah, it's definitely a thing to be concerned about for sure. And also too, I think folks are working on it.
Yeah, and they did drop all that layoff language changes that they had proposed. All right. So it's my understanding that there's also a full strike training that's still coming up. Cynthia, is that correct? There is one. I thought there was one more.
Yeah, there will be. Sorry, in the building I'm in has fire alarms going off, so I'm just going to communicate in the chat. I think it's just a test or an accident, but it's very loud. So I will type it in the.
I thought it was this week still. Yes, more strike trainings. All right, so those are important to go to. They get a little bit more into details with the timeline. There's a bunch of local ones. I think there were statewide ones last week. There was a couple of those. All right. Any other questions? We're still marching and chanting at the Delta. Oh, Cynthia just placed one of the strike trainings in the chat, a recording of that. I think that will probably answer a lot of people's questions. All right. Anything else that people want to talk about? This hotel is going to be the home of our team for the next week. They're not leaving from there. They all have rooms. They're staying overnight. No, in fact, the hotel has its own signature scent, Michael. I learned that the last time. Okay. Are there other, I saw a question, but then. So the person who asked about laptops, can you maybe clarify that? Or oh yeah, when the union has said we are going on strike, we tell the employer, and most likely the employer then will issue some kind of letter to staff, you know, telling everyone what to do. This is what you do with your keys. This is what you do with your laptop. All vacations are going to be canceled. No one gets to take sick leave. No one gets to do anything. And so if there are people that cross the picket line, they are under those rules as well. And so that will come out ahead of time. It's up to us then to determine whether or not we challenge any of those, but that is kind of basically standard. And then we have, you know, if we were to go on strike, we would then return to work with another agreement in place. Like, this is when people can come to work. So there's going to be, and I'm just saying what normally happens. There is a statement that comes out from the employer that's going to take a position on things. And it could be vacation, it could be sick. We have an FAQ on the MAPE website that answers more specific questions about that kind of thing, of what we have seen in the past. For example, MMB could take a position that during the actual strike, they are not allowing any vacation. And that would be for the people remaining in the workplace. The people on strike, obviously they're not on vacation, right? Because they are sacrificing their pay for the good of the group. And so I think I got at a question there. Let's see. It keeps moving very fast. If you were. All right. Do people want to raise their hands and speak to some of their questions so that we can get an idea of what more you're looking for? Yes. No.
Just to speak to the, somebody put in the portal for MAPE, which is terrific. You do want to log into the portal and make sure that your personal contact information is up to date, because we would not be able to email you on your state email if we were in a strike. So it's good to make sure you have a personal email and that your cell phone number is up to date.
Perfect.
I think you spoke to the vacation not being able to use the vacation. So there was some chatter about that.
On the MAPE website, we have an FAQ, and on it, it talks about approved leave. So those would be approved leaves under Article 16. And that would be your paid parental leave. That would be a medical leave, things like that. If you are on it prior to the union announcing going on strike, those would be honored, is the information that we have. There were questions that I think it's, can I use my vacation and go on strike so I'm still getting paid and I still am supporting the union? And the answer is no. The employer is not going to pay you to go on strike. That's why they will cut off vacation. That's why they will stop vacation requests during that time, so that the people who are in the workplace will not be able to take vacation, or I believe sick leave, unless there's like notes or something. But they will send out this big long email to the supervisors, to the agency, saying, you know, you're not allowing this, this doesn't happen. Their goal is obviously to make it as difficult for us, for people to change their mind and not support the strike. And so they are not going to make it easy for us. I think someone said that earlier, but they are not going to make it easy for us. And so the idea is, you know, to put some things into place, which is why we're talking about strike now, why we are saying, you know, it is a sacrifice, because it's going to put pressure on the state and, you know, for us to improve our contract. And the only way to do it, you know, based on, you know, how things go in that hotel we're seeing, may be to withhold our labor. That is the ultimate thing that we can do as a union. You know, all the speakers that we heard were talking about the work that we do and how important it is to the state. If we're not there to do it, then the state pays for that. So the question is, but members could, in theory, organize a mass use of weeks before. Can you speak to that? Can you come off mute and please speak to that, Michelle?
Well, I know in the grand scheme of officially striking, if you have an official strike date where things are not met, if demands or needs are not met prior to the strike date, people plan to strike. In theory, members could organize just a mass vacation time before that, right? So there's still no waiver. People are still working.
Folks in the lobby, if you're going to be doing anything else today with our activities for phone bank, site visits, we encourage you, if you haven't signed up or you haven't done it before, come on out. We'll pair you up with somebody that has done it before. So you're now walking out there.
I think this is Ask Me related stuff. And I'm sorry. Yeah,
Also,
I mean, technically,
feel free to stop by the respective tables here, grab some swag, grab some snacks, grab some juice, and pass it over to Brittany.
Okay, is that Britton's yelling at the group about something? Because Zoom's not picking it up. So, right, that means she's yelling. But to your point, the second I start, it gets loud. All right. So the thing is, you know, during that whole lead up to when we are deciding to go on strike, we could do anything as far as an action, and vacation has to be approved. And so it could be that they wouldn't do that. But, you know, we're not going to turn down an option as far as what we can do. Everything's a tool at this point. Okay, so Tanner writes that there's going to be some closing speeches. Is it just the one, or did we miss it?
It looks like it's wrapping up. I know the rain is coming. You can see it.
Yeah, look at that. Okay. Hey, at least, you know, online, it's not raining on us. So we have some talk about the return to office. Union has been saying to not use terms return to office. Right. Okay. So telework and the proposals that we had first brought in are still on the table in looking at what's left. So they're still having conversations about that. And it is true, it is return to office. some people will say return to work, and that does have a connotation. But keeping in mind, this also doesn't necessarily apply to everyone statewide. We have the people that are, outside of the 50 miles. And so it's something that's still an issue. Telework is a policy. Just to get that question real quick. If anything, we'd be looking at end of August, September, if the bargaining unit voted no on the contract. But in talking about return to office, telework is a statewide policy. Everything that you see in the contract that we have is a little toe in the door to get them to not be so reckless with it in terms of its removal and granting it. And so that's why this is a struggle to get them to talk very clear with us in a way where we're going to see language that is actually substantial, is because MMB is always going to hang on to their management rights in order to control telework, because we have a variety of different things going on with that, where people, are freely given it. We have some people where it's stingy. Then we have the governor saying 50%. At the same time, what we've been able to negotiate is an appeal system and a way to talk to people about what works and what doesn't. And so the stewards have been trained and are currently being trained on the best ways to provide that support during appeal meetings. So if anyone's having any issues, and it may be more of these meetings are happening in the city, in the cities closer to the central agencies. I know we've had a couple in Region 14, and there's also Region 16, which is what I cover, along with 14. But we're, the best thing that we can do is to document those and how they're going, so that we have the documentation in case we need to use it. It lends credibility to what the negotiating committee is doing, and it helps the stewards with regard to any potential discipline that may be coming up as a result of anything with regard to telework. So awesome. We're very glad people could come to the virtual. I know it's been since 8 o'clock. Are there other things that people want to talk about? Cynthia, is there anything riveting? I think I moved my notes as far as, let's see.
People kind of reiterating that state pay is known to not be as great, but the benefits typically are better. Benefits and pension are a big pro of being in state work, which is very true.
So our highest number online, I believe, Cynthia, I had 361 at one point.
Yeah, I think I saw 366 at one point.
Okay. Okay, so I heard HR isn't even attending the appeal meeting, so I'll just be with my manager, who has no authority to do anything. Well, that's rare, because usually supervisors don't do a thing without HR. I have that is interesting. But sometimes I would think that would be a better meeting because we could, as someone that has worked with the stewards, we could basically try to get more of a deal that way that they wouldn't have to go through HR to approve, but maybe that is a problem. Point is, you have right to appeal. Yes, you do have the right to union rep at appeal meetings. And in fact, they can help you prep prior to that meeting so you can identify goals and figure out what is the best thing to get. As far as how many people attended today in person, we think it was equal, right, Cynthia? Like in the 300s. I'm not seeing any.
Sure. It looks like I asked some people and they said hundreds. So I think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an answer.
Yeah. So yeah, 400 now. I heard between 300 and 400, which is pretty broad. But
Yes.
it looked like it throughout. So yeah, just to reiterate, there'll be an email every day for coming from MAPE for our MAPE members. I'm sure AFSCME has a similar update plan. So look for those. They will be later in the day. Some of them might actually be later than the end of your business day, just so that we, can kind of have something to report on what has happened during negotiations that day. So look for those. There'll be updates and then also a reminder of the actions that you can take. So important for all of us to act together and talk to your coworkers, talk to members on your team. We had a great turnout today, but also between both unions, tens of thousands of people are represented. And if we want to take serious action, it's going to take a lot of people to get to that point. So lots of questions, lots of education still needed. So check out the MAPE website. For the recording of a strike training, there's a strike FAQ. The Get Involved page has all the actions, things that you can be doing right now to try to put pressure on management. But definitely look for the emails and there'll be probably some text messages as well. So if you typically get those from your negotiator or LCAT or business agent, you can be looking for those too.
And following along with negotiations, we are starting with the employer at 10, and MAPE is going to give their pass. So basically, we're starting it right up at about 10. And it looks like we're putting wages on the table. What they are exactly, I don't know, but we're going to just start strong. And that's how it's going to be. So our MAPE Zoom meetings private. This one was available on a link on the MAPE website. So I'm going to say no. Which is why we're not going into nitty gritty details about and then we're going to propose this and then our fallback that, right? So we're just kind of basically, it's to get the most people. We have people from AFSCME here. It's not just MAPE. We negotiate together. We refer to MMB as the employer because they represent the state. They are the people that do the talking for the governor with regard to their employees, which are us. And so we refer to them as the employer. Whoop, there's the swag store. Thank you for that. Yes, a lot of fun things happening in the news with regard to physical safety. Yes. All right. So emails coming out. with reports, AFSCME and MAPE coordinating every evening after negotiations, trapped in a hotel, trying to get a deal. Anything else?
Yeah, thanks for Clay for posting the join now. If you're currently not a dues paying member, and your local has access to crisis funds, you do need to be a dues paying member if we go on strike to get that. But in any circumstance, it's really really important to be a full-fledged member. It puts additional pressure on MMB to see that we're all in solidarity together and willing to do what is necessary.
And they know too. So, you know, they're the ones that supply our website. They're the ones that, you know, see the, you know, the dues coming out. So they know if we're dealing with full membership or not. Patty.
I just, sorry, I just wanted to say that having been from health, MAPE is incredible. And I think we got a lot of, some people join because of all the layoff stuff. So I think it's really, I just want to tell the other agency that without MAPE, things, even the managers, supervisors, they were all out there with MAPE people because they knew that MAPE was even protecting them and helping them. And so without MAPE, we would never have gotten what we did get, even though I was one of the ones in the end who did get a layoff letter, but they were just amazing, at least the MAPE MDH. So I just want to tell other agencies, you know, how amazing that is, so that, because because it is federal, people may be getting layoffs and stuff, and our HR, I'll just say this, there was a real screw up. And so MAPE was incredible. So just encourage people to join or let other people know how incredible MAPE was, and that we wouldn't have gotten what we got without them. So, and I think we did get some new members because of it, at least at MDH. That's all.
Thanks, Patty. Yeah, that was a fun experience.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to share a link. Tonight at 4, there's a MAPE Basics presentation. And so if you know of people who are maybe newer to the union or just haven't been that active, or, you know, just I'm in this union, I don't really know what's going on, I feel a little late to the game, and I don't know even what to ask. MAPE Basics is a really great place to pop in. They are hosting them once a month. And so the June one is actually today at 4. And it kind of walks through what's the union, why is it so special to be in a union, why is this important, and is a really great kind of basic union education. So share those out with your teams, especially, like I said, maybe people who are newer or just haven't really been that active yet. It's a really good place to pop in, and our facilitators are great and always willing to answer any questions you have.
Great. The only other thing I would say is, like, how many people here know who their negotiator is? Do you know who's representing you at the table today? Because it might be a good idea to reach out to them and send them some support, send them some love, and just say, we heard a little bit about what you're doing, about being stuck in and thank you, Cynthia, about being stuck in this hotel that we virtually watched and sat outside of. And we know that you're going to feel like you need to eat all the cookies or you need to do whatever, and that you're there and you're dedicating your time to do this on our behalf. And we want to thank you for that. And so it'd be really great to eat. Well, cookies don't count when you're in a hotel. That's exactly what it is. They can eat anything, but we know before they were at the hotel, they were in the basement of the DOC, Department of Corrections building. And so they are doing quite a bit. They're doing nothing but talking about the best way to get a contract that provides progress for our bargaining unit. And so just thank them if you can. I think that'd be great. And yes, anyway. All right, lots of talks about scarves. I don't know if there's any left. You know, if people want to go through their union to get swag, they can do that through your treasurers and whatnot. I believe you can also contact MAPE directly and order that way. We have a little hidden room in the basement where all this stuff is kept under lock and key. I'm not joking. And yeah.
Yeah, reach out to your local leadership because some of them do stock their own swag or might have access to some of their scarves still.
That's true, because on what day we're asking people to wear and be visible? On Wednesday, we're asking people to wear blue. If you're MAPE. Yes, excellent. Thank you, everyone. All right. Anything else for the good of push week and negotiations? And do we want to sing or chant? I don't, but just maybe Cynthia does. I don't know.
Maybe a chat chant. We can start a virtual.
Yes. How do we do it? Yes. How do we? You know, if this is being recorded, it would be good to send a message to the negotiating committee.
Yeah, we are recording. If anyone wants to come off mute and tell them, we can make sure to get your videos to them. I know they would love to hear it. They're going to be up all hours of the day and night for this whole week. And when they maybe need a little boost, I know seeing one of your faces would be great. So Rose, I see you're on camera. Did you want to go?
I do. So I'm Rosie Whitty. I'm in local 1101, and I really appreciate all of you guys fighting for us. So thank you so much. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll have this contract, a fair contract soon. Thanks.
Who else? Rose can't be the only one. Go for it. Oop, you're muted.
Sorry, new device. Good morning, everybody. My name is Nikki Bailey. I am in 601 Commerce, and I just want to say thank you all very much for putting this together. It was so awesome to see our fellow brothers and sisters out there on the picket line, if you will, and then to have this online venture and to see everybody and to see the complete solidarity. We hope that MAPE, and ASME are very successful. We really appreciate you guys. Whatever we got to do, even up until, you know, hopefully not the ugly, but, we stand in solidarity. So I just want to say thank you all so much. Keep up the good work. We will get to the other side of this. We will.
Thank you. Anyone else? Want to say something to your negotiating member? Okay. Thank you. There's no law that says we have to keep going until 10. So if people have more questions, this is the time for that. Otherwise, we really appreciate everyone coming to this today and listening to us babble. And I want to thank Cynthia for her quick link posting, and there was a lot of good questions. I know we weren't there in person, but it was fun watching them. Oh, thanks, Nicole. One more. Nicole just posted the strike FAQ, and I think that's an important thing to take a peek at. There is also another training that is coming up. We are going to be hearing from our negotiating committee every day. So yes. All right, way to go in the chat, people. Woo! Thanks, everyone. We have a good day. Just think about those negotiators wasting away in a hotel.
Send them their notes. It's hard, thankless work. So
No, Commissioner James, yeah.
Glad you guys could come. Thanks so much. Good we had you here. We'll get through this round. Yes. Thanks, Clay. Yes. Something good will happen. Or we'll be having different conversations, but we will know stuff by the end of this week. So that's good, at least. All right, Cynthia, I will let you call it.
I was on mute. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the meeting and look for the updates this week on ways that you can stay active. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.